Matty Fresh on the track up at State. And I'm bringing to you live my boys Alec and Nate. Tequila Ty, Jay, Nelly, and Zillin in the building. So kick it back, pour the drink. We chillin' because I'm boozing and betting and ballin' like I'm 2-6 in the blue kicks. Watch me move quick. Yeah, this the blueprint. So who's getting involved? Welcome into the show. This is Booze, Bets, and Ball, baby.
And welcome back to a post-holiday episode here as we are in between playoff games. Just really quick, going through Penn State beating SMU 38-10 last Saturday. Electric. Nelly, we were right. There was a lot of people there.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, there was a lot of people there. That was not anything to worry about. Offense was hit or miss, but defense played amazing. 2 pick sixes right off the bat. Got a third interception when SMU was down towards the goal line, which was huge. Dom DeLuca, a pick six, and the other interception. Huge game from him. Abdul Carter in the pass rush got going late. They made SMU uncomfortable. They put up 38 on SMU. Yeah, 14 of it came via the defense, but that was honestly maybe one of the worst offensive or defensive performances of the year for SMU. So Penn State showed a lot at home. Place was packed. It was fun. I don't know what you want to add to that, but it's very encouraging for them to run the ball. Almost, I think, 189 rushing against a team that was giving up like 93 a game. So that was huge too. Obviously, Aller kind of had a hit or miss day with the weather. I think they were a little conservative with the passing game, whereas SMU wasn't, and SMU turned it over 3 times. Penn State didn't. So I don't know what you have to add to that, but overall I thought pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that people like critique would be like offense, but overall, I mean, that was probably one of the loudest games I've been to. Like, the nice thing about that game was who wanted to go because it was so cold, and like SMU, if you were there, you were standing the whole time screaming your ass off. So that was like one of the loudest games I've been to in a while, at least. So that was great, even though people were worried that like people wouldn't show up. Like, I don't know why we ever worried about that, but offensively, yeah, like passing wasn't great, but it's not like, I mean, I really think it was the weather. Like, we can say that we're used to it, but you're really not used to it until you get out there and play football against another team. We might practice in it, but you really don't play in it that much. And we ran the ball. I mean, our defense did what we needed. We got out to a 14-0 lead off 2 pick sixes. No reason to throw the ball and give them a chance on turnovers when we can run the ball down their throat. Everybody said that they had like one of the best run defenses. Our O-line showed up once again against an elite defense. So that really gives me a lot of hope going to the next game that we're talking about. Just our O-line playing at the level they're playing at, especially having like Rucci in, and he's out there performing as one of the best O-linemen in the playoffs. At least I saw in like PFF, but PFF's iffy anyway. But I mean, overall, yeah, defense showed up. But the biggest thing about this game to me that people aren't really talking about to us is that we've won a game every single way we needed to, which is going to make you win in the playoffs. We won it offensively, we won it defensively, and we won it in special teams in certain ways too. So, like, we have won games in every possible way, which gives me so much confidence in this team. Because, like, yeah, our offense wasn't there in the first half, but, I mean, we had 2 pick sixes. They couldn't move the ball. That quarterback was not ready for that type of crowd.
No.
So, I mean, that's all I really have to say. I mean, our offense, I think, will be fine this upcoming week inside. Even if it wasn't Arizona, like, I think we will be fine throwing the ball. And we'll get into this. I think we will need to throw the ball more. But either way, great game, 1-0, and people picked SMU. People are going to pick Boise again. Just got to keep winning. Who cares what the score is as long as we win? I mean, we dominated them, but just on to next week.
Yeah, I mean, talent disparity definitely showed up there. I mean, Penn State really didn't even – I don't even know how much coaching I'd say was involved in this because, I mean, Penn State – I kind of like that they went for that 4th and 1 from their own 25. They didn't get it, but I honestly liked it. But like, they didn't need to make too many coaching decisions in this. The talent kind of won the game right away, which helped. And I hope Boise's kind of the same way, but honestly, I feel like Franklin and the coaching is kind of just stayed out of the way and let the guys play. And, they played pretty well, which was nice to see. And the talent, there was a difference there. And you could tell SMU has never played anything like that. You could tell the cold weather got to them because their kicker was like an all-conference kicker and he was short on a 40-yarder.
Yeah.
Like they were not prepared for anything they encountered there. So obviously, the home teams went 4-0 and they all won pretty convincingly. So, being at home, I think, is going to make a difference going forward in the playoffs. So, getting in is definitely one thing, but I think this weekend taught us that at least being in those 4 home teams, if you're not going to be one of the 4 buys, is a big deal. So, just a little something to take going forward. But so we go on to Boise State, who won the Mountain West, 12-1, got the bye over Clemson, who won the ACC. So that was interesting. Obviously, Clemson hung in there a little bit with Texas, but lost. And Boise, it's Ashton Genty. I mean, that probably should have won the Heisman. What, 2,400? Let me get the exact number. Yeah, 2,497 yards and 29 touchdowns on 344 carries. It's insane. I think their next leading rusher had 100 and no, I'm sorry. Well, if you don't count the quarterback, the next leading rusher had 135 yards. So this man is the entire rush game for them, outside of when the quarterback does a little thing. Now, Madsen, the quarterback, did throw for 27, 14 yards and 22 touchdowns with only 3 picks. So it's not like he's been awful, but having such a dominant run game, I would assume, has played a huge role in at least his turnover ratio because they're just doing a lot of play action stuff, which is usually pretty open. This pretty much just comes down for Penn State's defense to stopping Genty, and Penn State's done a pretty decent job in the run department this year on defense, outside of a couple of those broken plays against USC. When they've struggled in other games, it's kind of been through the pass game. Saw it in the Oregon game, saw it against Bowling Green, blah, blah, blah. I think, though, Penn State's run D has been there all year. And, this is the best rushing attack, at least best running back that they're going to play.
Yeah, I was talking about in the group chat today, like the only person that has over 100 yards is Woody Marks on us. And even then, they had at the time that quarterback was playing well, and their wide receivers are just good enough talent where you have to respect them because they can make plays and you can't just leave them on an island for the most part. So, and they had Woody Marks and Miller. So, they had a great offense, and everybody else, like Oregon, like you said, Jordan James is, probably one of the Heisman, for next year contenders. And, he had 20 rushes for 87 yards. And, that's good, but it's not great. And he only really got it because we couldn't cover anybody.
Right.
And then you could just run the ball, and then that's easy 8-10 yards. But when it was in a running situation, he wasn't doing much. Mm-hmm. So, I think this is another game where athletes just out-athlete them. I think it comes down to that. Even if Genty gets his, there's a world where he gets, this is what Josh Pate said, where he gets 150 and 3 touchdowns, and they still lose by 24 points.
Yeah.
Because their pass defense is over 100th in the nation, and you played in the Mountain West. You haven't seen a quarterback like Drew. You haven't seen a tight end like Warren. You haven't seen wide receivers. Even though our wide receivers aren't great, they're still probably better than most of the wide receivers they've seen this year.
Yeah, they played Oregon. Outside of that, yeah.
Yeah, we have the common opponent, Oregon. They lost by 3 at Oregon. Kudos to them. That's crazy. But, Oregon's defense really isn't that good. And also, that's beginning of the year. They played Idaho to the fourth quarter. They weren't playing good.
Yeah, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, so, I'm not really looking at that game and saying, oh, Boise State's really that good. I'm more looking at that game. Oregon wasn't playing their best football yet. Mm-hmm. So, it comes down to our D-line versus their O-line and just stopping them. But I think if we just stack the box with our athletes, Genty might get his still. But I don't think he's going to be as big of a problem as everybody says. Because if we really just focus on that, make their quarterback beat us. If he beats us, I'll let it, good for him. That's great. But, I'm not letting Genty beat us. And he hasn't a game under 140. I don't think he's getting 140 on us. I think that might just be bias, but like he's a great running back. But if we have everybody in the box and it's RD line versus their O line, I really don't see how he's going to go off on us. But I mean, we'll see. Even if he does, what I'm saying, like we are going to dominate this game. I think like their passing defense is terrible, and if we get their running game going, they really don't have a chance here again. So it's just going to be our defense stop. If you stop them a few times in the early drives, we get out to a 14, 17-point lead. It's kind of game from there. So that's, I think, the biggest. Also, I saw like Landon tweet something about like their D line like being like they pressure the most or something, but it's come off like 7-man blitz.
Yeah, they blitz a lot. They had a lot of sacks. They had like 51 this
Yeah,
year.
they have like one of the most sacks, and it's
Yeah.
also like 7-man blitzes. And then I saw like he tweeted like they practice, like he was on the team, like he knows that they practice that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're prepared for that, I mean, I think we'll be fine once again. And our O line playing how they have been playing and communicating that well, I don't think that's big of an issue, even on third down. And even Drew, like he's been getting at his pocket awareness has been elite this year.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm really not worried about it. But yeah, it comes down to our D line versus Genty and just our defense versus Genty. I trust Harris. I trust Timber. Even Zion Tracy's been playing his best ball recently in the end of the season. So like I really think this should be another SMU type of game. Maybe, I mean, the only thing people are like hyping it up like because it's the Fiesta Bowl and Boise State and like
Yeah,
that.
they're 3-0 in it. Yeah.
Yeah, but like we're 7-0, like, and we played better. Like, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really matter, but we'll see.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's what I'm going to kind of disagree with you on about that the biggest battle is Genty versus the Penn State D-line. Because I actually think it's Penn State's offense versus Boise's defense. Because if Penn State's offense dominates Boise's defense, then it doesn't matter what Genty does because they're going to abandon the run, at least to an extent. And it's a lot harder to come back when you run the ball. So if Penn State goes out there and Warren or Aller connects with Warren and Wallace and those guys and they get out to a 14-0 lead like they did last week, I think Boise maybe shifts what they're doing, and that's not what they want to do. They pretty much, I'd say, played, I don't know for sure, but maybe outside the Oregon game, the majority of the time they've been playing from ahead, which has made this Genty thing a lot easier for them. I know there was a thing that he sat a bunch of quarters, and that's why he doesn't have the rushing record yet. So, in the majority of their games, they've been ahead and stayed ahead. So it's a lot easier to run the ball. If you can get to them early, I know Penn State's kind of big on deferring because the defense is a lot better in the second half. But I think this is a game where maybe if you win the toss, you get ball first. You try to go out there, score, put some pressure on them, try to get a quick 3-and-out, and then try to score again, and then see what Boise does to their game plan. So that's kind of what I'm looking at there. I just think if Penn State's offense puts enough pressure on Boise, what Genty does won't really matter. And I think that's the best way to win this game because I don't think you want to get to the point where stopping him is like your last line of defense, the only way you think you could win. I'd rather that not be the case, but that's kind of where I'm at. And then quickly, I'm going to say I think he gets over 150 yards simply because he's 130 something away from the single season rushing record. And if Boise is down 21 points with 5 minutes left, I guarantee you he's out there running the ball. So that's where I'm getting at here. Like his stats might look good, but the way in which he might get them, I think is going to be very misleading. I think there's an opportunity for that to happen in this game because like you mentioned, I think there is pretty decent likelihood that Penn State could get out in front of this one like they did versus SMU.
Yeah, no, I guess, that is true. I guess Penn State's offense versus their defense, that's a good point. I mean, honestly, yeah, I was thinking we should just accept and just receive the ball, just to get out, because I really do trust their offense enough where we're going to go out there and just stop it down their throat every drive if we need to. And I think this is a game, I don't know, I think like every game is like a game for us to prove ourselves still because no one's think like it's still like just because like we have the easiest path. Like this is a game you can't lose again. It's another game where if we lose, it's Penn State sucks. Like, this is a game you must win. There's really no, it's inside. Like, their defense is so and so. Like we said, their D line's made the most sacks, but whatever. That's not really, our offensive line's great. Our run game's great. I mean, really come out and throw the ball. And then once we get that lead, you run it down their throat. Like, Singleton and Katron have been playing their best ball yet. Like, even in that freezing cold, when 192 or 3 TDs, like we ran it down SMU. We were told that they have like the 4th best rushing defense. Like, I don't really care at this point what the stats are, because what we're about to see again is that they played lesser opponents than us. The ACC was not good. Like, they just aren't compared to the Big Ten, and their O-line and athletes aren't the same, even though they are Power 4. It's just going to come down, I think, our offense. It's going to come down to our offense. Our defense will be there. I think we'll get enough stops where even if we aren't clicking at first, we'll be fine. The only thing is we cannot, if like we do defer, you can't let Genty get like an 80-yard touchdown and give him all the momentum. Because then it gets a little iffy. I still think we'll win the game, but then it's like, all right, they stop us on the first drive. It's 7-0. They get the ball back. They might go down and score again. Then you're like, fuck. Like, we might lose this game. And it should never be like that in this game. This is a game where we have the better athletes. We have the better everything, honestly. So there should, other than even, I mean, I saw like some stupid stat about like Genty versus our running backs, which I just like, it makes no sense like to compare that, but like whatever helps you, I guess. Like, think that they're going to win. But I think this is a game Drew throws the ball, goes for like 300, 3 TDs. And then we put Ethan in at like the 4th quarter, like Gronk. And that's and then whoever, like, just put our backups in the 4th quarter. I think this is a game where it's SMU again, where I think we win 42-17, 42-10. I see what you're saying about Genty. If it comes down and we're just killing them and they just want him to get the record, yeah, I guess he could have it. But I don't think it's a game where it's like, you were in halftime and Genty has 10 rushes for 140 and 2 TDs.
Right.
I just don't see that. But also, our tackling needs to be a lot better than usual. It hasn't been great at points. It's been okay. It's been great in some games, terrible in some others. But like, when you're only focusing on him, it shouldn't be that bad. And I feel like practicing is going to be completely focused on stopping the run and just tackling and not letting him get 30 yards after contact. Like, he has the most yards after contact. I think like his yards after contact is higher than a leading rusher without after contact or something like that. So like, it's going to come down to tackling and stopping him. And I think also their passing game, like I saw some stat where he has like the most drop picks. It's like a Patrick Mahomes type of stat where it's like he has the most picks like overturned. Like, our corners and I think we'll be fine. I think overall, like, I don't know if there's too much to get into here because it's really just Genty and then it's no one really else. And I've seen their past games, like, they barely beat Wyoming. They give up 20 to Oregon State. Like, you're giving up points to teams that aren't even remotely close to us. And their defense, like, I was watching Josh Payton, and he was just saying, like, this is another game. We just outclass them. And I think it is. Like, I think we do win 42-17. So I just get the business done and then look at Notre Dame or Georgia, whoever we're playing.
Yeah.
And that's really going to define us. If we win, as long as we win this game, that game is, you got to play your best game that game to make it to the next. Like, coming into the season, you're telling us we're 11-1. We have to win this game and we're in the semifinals. That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, and we lost the Big Ten and we got SMU and Boise. Like, we have to take this because, like, it's not going to be like this next year. They know they made a mistake. Like, there's no reason why we have this path or even these teams in there anymore. Like, next year might be a whole different thing. It might be 12 teams, but it might be best teams instead of most deserving or like that whole freaking thing. So, like, it's like we got to just keep, like, this season, like, enjoy it because you don't know when we're going to get it again. As long as we win this game, who knows the next time we'll be in the semis. So,
yeah, I agree on that. I think this is a big game for Aller. Obviously, we saw how he played in a dome a couple times. He was really good against Michigan State last year, and he was really good for the most part against Oregon. Outside of that kind of pick at the end of the game, I know he missed a couple throws, but he also made a lot of great plays. And, honestly, he was pretty good in warm weather against USC. He was pretty good in warm weather twice against West Virginia. You get this guy in warm weather or a dome, and he's been pretty good. So he gets a warm weather dome in Arizona. So he gets kind of both of them there. So I'm pretty confident in what he'll do. Obviously, the receiving situation is not changing at this point. It is what it is. It's just, rely on Warren and whatever play someone else gives you here or there, you take. So I'm going to go with that, but I do think Aller has a big game, over 300, kind of like you said. I think he carries it. I think Penn State actually comes out throwing, trying to make a statement and get this kind of over with quick to get Genty behind the 8 ball. So I'm thinking like 35-17, a little less than you, 35-20, somewhere in there. I can see them getting a couple scores late, but I think that kind of, we talked about this last week, but this is a game that you should just win. Like, we shouldn't have to think about it too much. The talent difference is there. I know they have arguably the best player on the field, but I think if you are ranking the next 10 best players on the field, I think all 10 play for Penn State. Yeah. So, keep it that way. He can be Superman, but if Penn State has an army against him, it's not going to work out for him. And that's what I think the game plan has to be here. I don't even think Penn State's defensive game plan is to totally try to neutralize him. I think it's to take out everyone else, and then whatever he does, you try to just keep it from being an absolute destruction. Let him get his own, but don't let it kill you. So I think there's definitely enough here, and I would be pretty disappointed if they lost this game. They're 11-point favorites. It's on neutral field. Way more talented team. Yeah, they're the higher seed. That has nothing to do with any of this, obviously. So go out there and get them. I really don't want to have to think twice about this.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of scared though, just because we're so confident. It feels so weird being confident in a playoff game for us. And it's a big game, so it's I am a little scared, but also it's at the point where I might be scared, but there's literally no reason.
Right.
I might just be thinking it's a jinx, but there's literally no reason why they should beat us. There isn't. And Drew lights this game up. And also, I guess the one thing we could have touched on, next year with Drew coming back, now he's got Wallace, Hudson, and he just got Devontae Ross as another wide receiver. Since we were talking about we won't change wide receivers yet. That's another big pickup. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Not to get into that yet, but I was just saying.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot going on. Zakee Wheatley said he's coming back next year and stuff. Obviously, Pabula committed to Missouri since the last time we spoke, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
There's still rumors going around about what Singleton, Katron Allen, Denai Dennis Sutton, and Zane Durant are going to do.
Yeah.
There'll be a time for that. Obviously, I think everyone's focus is on Boise for now and winning the Fiesta Bowl and getting on to what would be a highly anticipated Orange Bowl.
Yeah, well, for sure.
All right, so that's going to do it for this one. Next time you hear from us, it'll be 2025. So see you then.